Yo, yo, yo. Hey, hey, hey. What's up, what's up? Yo, hey, what's up, what's up?
Hola, konnichiwa. Just like saying hey and all these
Ohayo gozaimasu.
I don't know any other languages.
Yeah. Anyway, what's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Militime Podcast. Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
I am Pat.
And I'm CoCo.
And we are so happy to be here with y'all again.
Yes, we're back at it with another episode.
Back at it again with the white vans.
I've never owned white vans. So.
Yeah, me neither. I've never had white vans.
It's okay.
It's alright. I'm not down with the fads. I make my own fashion. Tell me how to make fashion. Tell me how to make fashion.
Okay.
Got that from my Jamaican brethren. Anyway, but welcome back, y'all. It's the Militime Podcast. It's the Militime Podcast where people of color redefine success.
Yes, and we are continuing in our life lesson series.
Mm-hmm.
We have been going down memory lane. We've been talking about what it means to be black, and I don't like black girls. I'm light-skinned, and what the heck is light-skin privilege?
Yeah.
What does it mean? What is Christianese? What does it mean to be a 2020 Christian?
Yeah.
What does it mean to have a rock-steady marriage?
Oh.
I think my husband is out to get me.
Dang.
I'm trying to remember all the ones we've done.
I know, I'm like surprised this year.
I know really good. What's the millennial ones we've done?
Yeah, we tapped into this whole millennial thing about going to college to degree or not to degree.
Yes, and then the last one has been the secret to independence.
The secret to independence. So if you have not had a chance to listen to those episodes, I really recommend that you go back and you listen to those episodes. But also, if this is your first time listening to Militime Podcast, welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Yes, and we want to invite you into this life lesson series where we've been talking about life lessons that aren't just like, I learned to be nice to people, but we're talking about some real stuff. We're talking about race, power, privilege, talking about a lot of difficult and vulnerable things, especially in our marriage episode on I Think My Husband's Out to Get Me. And we love doing these podcasts for you. And so today we're reaching into another part of a little bit of who we are, which is being business owners.
Yeah, definitely.
And this episode is really to, one, be honest about some challenges and things that we've learned while being business owners, and to also empower you with skills and also in your strength of how can you move forward, whether you are a business owner, you want to be a business owner, you want to know what it takes to be a business owner. We'll give you a little bit of our experiences, and we hope that it gives you just empowerment, encouragement, inspiration, and you learn from our lessons so that you can create an extraordinary business.
Extraordinary.
Wow, that was extra.
It was extra. Well, what's the difference between ordinary life and extraordinary life?
It's a little extra.
Just doing extra. You just got to be extra. Sometimes all you got to do is do extra. You got to get up a little extra earlier. You got to work a little extra harder.
You gotta eat a little extra better. I'm saying that for you.
You say that for girl, I eat extra good.
Okay.
And so we want to create an extraordinary life, and a lot of times all that means is doing a little extra more.
Yeah. So we're going to be sharing with you all 4 different lessons, mini lessons that we've learned, what it took for us to operate as business owners, and we hope that with the stories that we tell, that you find it to be beneficial and that you can find a way to redefine success for yourself in the world of business. Yeah,
but today we're doing it a little bit different. We're going to make this a kind of expedited episode. We're going to allow us to really drop some good gems and then be out. We're not going to resonate on it. We're not going to tell too many stories. We just want to give this to you because I know there's a lot of people that maybe you listen to this on your commute and you just happen to be blessed and your commute ain't that far.
You got a 15-minute commute.
You got a 15-minute commute. So our hope
we're going to try.
We're going to try to get this done in 15 minutes. But if we don't, all you got to do is sit in the car a little bit longer. So hopefully you left for work a little earlier so you can sit in the car and finish this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, without further ado, let's dig into this. So our 4 really lessons that we've learned about being business owners, we really want to tie this back to BSPF because through the research we've done, we found that there are really some basic principles that people live by, successful people live by in order to find success. And so, though these are things that you will see in the world, really what we've done is we created this framework to kind of move and operate in, and so that other people know really how they can operate in as well. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at our, just kind of like these 4 things that we've learned about success or learned about success in business, we really tie this back into brace, spark, purpose, and flow.
Right.
And so, our first lesson that we learned around business is really this idea around brace. And when we started off doing business, our focus was to surround ourselves with all of our loved ones, our people, our friends, all those different people. We had this idea, we had this vision that we really wanted to accomplish. And so the first thing we started to do is we brace ourselves with our friends, our homies, right. The people we've been with, our day ones, the people who were shooting with us in the gym, the people we knew from back in the day. We surrounded ourselves around them because when we thought about our vision and our purpose and the work that we wanted to do, the people that we wanted to impact really was our friends. It was them. It's our family. It's all those different people. And so we started to surround ourselves with our homies, and we started to surround ourselves with all of our friends and said, like, hey, come and join this vision. Come and be a part of this. Like, we have this goal we want to achieve. Or like, hey, we even want to work with you. We want to do these different things. And we started to find that we should not have done that. Which is rough because you think about it, it's like, man, these are our friends. Like, these are the people that we love, and these are the people we imagine when we think about our vision and our goal. We imagine surrounding ourselves around these people, but they were not the people. And the reason why is because they did not have the vision. They did not have the goal. They did not see what we saw. And they, truth be told, they just weren't ready. They weren't ready to see that. And so there were a lot of people that are our friends that we surrounded ourselves with. And later on, we realized, like, we probably shouldn't have gone into business with them. Or we probably shouldn't have partnered with them. Or even probably shouldn't have even done business with them and like served them because they just were not ready to be in that space. And so a lot of times when starting off in a business, what do you want to do? You want your loved ones to be a part of it. Right. And that's not a bad thing. Not to say that you shouldn't allow your loved ones to be a part, but we have to begin to look with the lens of vision and purpose. Right. And do they have the vision and the purpose? Do they have the passion? Are they interested? Is it something they want to be a part, or is it something that you have to convince them on? And if it's something that you have to convince them on, then the truth is, in this stage, when you're starting something off, you are an early adopter. Yeah. And if they are not an early adopter in this phase, those are not the people that you need on your team right now. That you need to get to a place where you can be stable, you can be sound, and then you invite all those people in. But until they get to that space, the people you need to surround yourself around are the people who either have the passions or have the interests that you're in, that you're focused on. Right. And then begin to move. And so we learned that lesson hard. We had to learn that lesson the hard way. But what we've learned is that we first start to surround ourselves with people who are doing and who are at where we want to be. And then we begin to start focusing on the people that our loved ones and our friends are bringing them up. And so we almost have to get ourselves out of the situation that we were in by surrounding ourselves around other people and then turn around and start helping our friends. Right.
And also, I think it is important because at some stage early in the business, the only people you have around you are your friends and your family. Mm-hmm. So you are going to want to engage possibly in business with them, have them support, help you to grow it. But then there was a certain stage where we had to shift and start surrounding ourselves, even with people who weren't necessarily doing the work that we were doing, but were in high-level positions, in executive places that we wanted to be in spheres of influence that weren't even necessarily in our industry, but we wanted to get their minds and to be able to understand.
They have the mindset and the principles.
Right. How do we grow our business? How do we reach more people? How do we do these things? And by staying in a place where our only sphere of influence were the people who were around us, which were our friends and our family, they didn't know how to get to that next level. And so we had to be intentional with creating those relationships, bracing ourselves with people who were like 20 steps ahead of where we are, even though it was uncomfortable and it was like, dang, like, are they going to see, like, maybe that we're not developed in this area or that we had a lot of growth that we need to do. But it helped get us into a place of shifting our mindset of, okay, this is the capacity of what I can reach, or this is the capacity of what we can do, because our brace, our community, our relationships also impact our mindsets and our beliefs of how far we can take this. Like, if you have friends or family or people who are around you saying, yeah, I don't want to pay this much, like, your business isn't, no, like, that's really expensive, or it's not worth that much. And then you go to, like, a high-level exec that's like, you guys are charging way too cheap. Like, the work that you're doing, you need to actually believe in yourself and charge what you're actually doing and the impact that you're bringing. It changes your whole mindset. But we weren't in that community in the beginning stages, we had no idea what our value and our worth was. And so we had to start surrounding ourselves with different kind of people, different groups, people that are maybe 20 steps ahead, to be able to surround us and really empower us to believe in the vision and progress the dream of CoCo Plan My Life.
Yeah, definitely.
That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, which I kind of spoke on for a second, was about the beliefs and the mindset. I think going in, you have no idea what you think your business will be able to achieve. You're just going based off, like, what's in front of you, what's the thing that's in front of you. And I think that there were often times where we were grinding so much and we were hustling so much because we believed success is how much quantity I can bring forth. So at the beginning of CoCo Plan My Life, it was booming. It was really successful in terms of how many people we were working with. We had like 15 one-on-one clients. We had literally 3 or 4 dream teams all running at the same time. We were hosting events once a month. Like, we were doing so much. And of course, like, the profit and the revenue was there. But our mindset was that success equals how busy we are. Like, it was a mindset or a belief that we know we're successful when we have no other things to do besides work with people. Like, our calendar was just packed over. Like, literally every day we'd come home, work with 2 or 3 clients. Our weekends were client. Our Sundays were dream team event. Like, we were working so much, and that belief of success means quantity or how busy I am, it really got us to the place where we were burnt out. Like, we got to the place of, like, this is not sustainable. Like, yes, maybe the money is there and that can make us feel successful, but the quality of the work that we wanted to do, we weren't able to do because we were so busy trying to do everything at one time. And so I think we had to come to the phase of, what is success? What are our beliefs about what success means? Is it how busy our Google Calendar is? Or is it based off the quality of the work that we're able to do with people, where we're actually not tired, we're actually not going, like, to church and then to a dream team and then another dream team and then an event, like, but getting to the place of, like, what is success is actually what is the quality that we're able to bring, and how do we shift our belief of success does not equal just the money that comes in the bank, but it's the quality that we bring to the people that we serve. And I think that was an intentional switch in our belief that definitely had to happen for me, because someone who manages the finances for the business, I am looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the budget, and it's like, oh, well, we're not making as much as we did last month, or we need to generate more clients, we need to get to this level to sustain where we were at. But we were dropping in quality because we were go. And so for me, shifting my belief to be success is not just equated with the numbers and the money, but success is very much tied to what is the quality of the work that I'm able to bring to this person. And even if that's with 5 or 6 clients instead of 15, and maybe that's with 1 dream team instead of 4, that we felt confident knowing that, okay, my belief about what my worth is and what our business does is not equated to how many people and how many dollars I bring in.
Yeah, and I think even just the whole, and this doesn't mean that we're like, hey, like, money isn't important, but also at the same time, like what you were saying, we got so busy that our quality was dropping,
right?
And so that we weren't able to produce, like, the quality content that we produce, or
right.
We weren't able to create the quality events or quality sessions for people, because there was just so much going on. We didn't really even have time to kind of, like, develop. It was just kind of like maintain where we were.
Right.
But we got to the point to where we realized like, okay, let's take some time. And because of that, if we moved to just one dream team, that dream team became that much better.
Right.
It was like, oh wow, this dream team is amazing. Why is it so good? Oh, we have much
more time
to like actually think about and like really cultivate this. And so it's not even that you're actually losing money, but you could actually make more money. And you can make more money and have more bang for your buck instead of working 10 hours, 16 hours a day just to like make what you're making. That in 2 hours you can make that, in 3 hours you can make that, and then you can have the rest of your time to spend with your families and friends. So it's like really moving from this place where it wasn't about how much, like, let me just hurry up and gather, but maybe let me develop this and really have some patience to develop this and create something that's really quality. And sure, I may not be having tons of clients coming in, but I have 1 or 2 clients that are really satisfied and really doing great work, and I feel really good about it, and I'm not exhausted, and I have enough to move forward.
Right.
So that's our second lesson that we learned. The third lesson was this thing around purpose. Something that we've had to learn is that purpose is something that got us going, and it got us started, and we started to move in this direction because we knew that what we wanted to do was we wanted to help people create the extraordinary life that they desired. And we knew that we had this goal of kind of shifting the culture to move from a place of like, it's just all about me, and it's all about me just doing and being happy and having tons of money and everybody like being famous, but actually going to like, okay, what is the work that I'm doing and how does it matter? Like, how does it not just benefit me, but it also benefits the world around me? We saw this, and so we started to develop these tools, and we started to develop all these different systems and activities and products and different things like that can move in this way. And what started to happen was we fell in love with it. Like, we fell in love with our baby. We fell in love with CoCo Plumber Life. We fell in love with Dream Teams. We fell in love with our sessions. We fell in love with our events. We fell in love with all these different things. And when we fell in love with it, we made a mistake. Because we fell in love with this product over the purpose. And what would happen was when the product wasn't serving anymore, when the product wasn't good enough, or when we didn't have enough time, or we had to make a shift, and we had to do all these different things, it was difficult to make that shift. It was difficult to make the innovation. It was difficult to make change because we were so in love with our product that we started to miss purpose. That purpose started to fleet away from us while we were chasing after our product or our service. And what we had to find was that it was time for us to really make a shift and move back to loving the purpose over the product. And I think you'll hear people say this all the time, that if you get so in love with the method, you'll miss what you could be achieving. Because a lot of times the method, the tool, the resource, the activity, the whatever you're doing, the product, the service, all that doesn't really matter. That is all to serve the purpose. And if you get so focused on the service over the purpose, then purpose starts to flee, and you may not even be meeting that purpose anymore, but now you're just focusing on just doing that product. And so we really had to make a shift in our mindset that when we saw that maybe a service wasn't working anymore, or maybe the way we were actually moving our business model, we set up our business model, and the way we were moving wasn't actually beneficial to us, or we realized that it took too much time, or it took too much energy, or it wasn't impacting our clients in a way that we wanted to impact our clients, that it was time to scrap it. It was time to dump it and be able to move to saying, well, let's get back to our purpose. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to do? And if that's what we're trying to achieve and that's what we're trying to do, how can we do that better now? And so we had to move from this place of purpose, from focusing. Purpose was serving our product, and we had to move to this place where no, the product has to serve the purpose. And so, that was one of the lessons we definitely had to learn.
And that even like at every moment, the business should be driven by the purpose, not necessarily the product of what we've created. And so even now, we're in a space of having to innovate. What are the products that we're trying to now create? Because maybe some of the products or the services that we offered before, they're not sustainable. And so we have to be willing as business owners to take time to reevaluate the product to align with the purpose. And that doesn't just happen in the beginning stages, doesn't happen in the middle. Like, that's a continuous process of like, hey, even though we fell in love with this, it worked for the first 2 years, we have to reevaluate. How do we get back and move into a place of, let's remind ourselves of the purpose again, and let's create a new product that meets that same purpose. So a state of being okay with change is definitely difficult as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and the last lesson, the final lesson that we've learned is in connection with our principle of flow, with talking about our strengths, that Patrick and I, as a married couple and also business owners, we operate in different strengths that show up in our marriage and also show up in the business, where I am very organized, prepared, let's plan 20 steps ahead, let's get everything written down, let's get this done quickly.
She's a workhorse.
Yeah, let's work efficiently. And that shows up in our marriage, and that shows up 20 times more in our business as we're business partners. And so Patrick, he is all about like, let's try this, and it's okay if we fail. Like, we're gonna learn. Like, let's just try again. And he's often thinking about strategy, but he's also thinking about like, how can we just try this cool idea and like, let's just see what happens. And I'm like, right, experiment. And I'm like, oh no, we don't experiment. We do things that we know is gonna work, and we're gonna follow through with those things. And so oftentimes our strengths, I mean, if you can hear, those things clash. Those are things that as a married couple, it's like, okay, that comes up. But definitely when you're trying to run a business together, your strength is not perceived as a strength to me. It's perceived as a weakness. Like, you're not operating in the same kind of strength that I'm in. And so I can misinterpret and say, okay, no, that's where weakness is. We can't operate in that level. And Patrick can view me the same. If I'm just so focused on getting things done quickly that I can miss out on the quality, I can miss out on the ideas, I can miss out on the exploration. And so something we've had to learn is not only to be aware of our strengths and to embrace our own personal strengths, but to also see how our partner brings strengths that we don't have. That we are operating in our flow, but then our partner has another flow that like adds something that we don't have.
Right.
And so sometimes I think when people are partnering in business, you know, personalities don't clash, or you know, you have a direction that you want to take it and they have a direction, or there's so many different things of like, which person do we listen to, which person do we follow what their flow is, who is right in this. And for us, it's had to come into a place of like, what does collaboration look like, where we're honoring what is the strategy or the new idea that you're bringing, and how do I use my strength of efficiency, organization, planning to like complement that and bring that into a teamwork effort, instead of, no, I want to do this or you want to do this. But how do we start to, I mean, it's basically brace ourselves in our business to be able to operate more efficiently as a team, and to realize that like, we're working toward the same vision, we're working toward the same purpose. So how can we use our strengths collectively to be able to push toward? And sometimes that looks like, maybe because I know that I'm quicker at getting stuff done, I handle all the social media posting and the content, because I know how to get that done in less than an hour. And maybe I'm not going to ask Patrick to do that kind of stuff, because he loves taking his time, and that's great. But there's also areas where Patrick is like, oh no, look, we got to get this quality down. So like, he edits our podcast. He's the one that does all the engineering and really takes his time to hear everything, change the sound levels, change. Oh no, I don't have time for that. I would try to get that done in 5 seconds, but because he is so focused and in his perfectionistic qualities of making sure that we're releasing quality, that we're trying new things in the podcast, that we're considering different things in the business, that it moves us into a space of, we're not just about getting things done or what's the next thing on the list, but we're also staying in this place of creativity and innovation. really think the lesson behind this is like being able to see, yes, your own strengths, but also seeing the strengths of your team, your partner, and being able to also put trust in those strengths and like reliance and dependence in those strengths, where it's not just my way or the highway, but your mind operates in a way that I can't even imagine. And so how can we bring these two strengths together to become even more powerful?
Yeah. I think one of the skills that a lot of people may even neglect or even not recognize how important it is this thing around creative collaboration. And creative collaboration is not just like, oh, we get together and we create a poem or we create something together or we do art together or make a song together. But creative collaboration in business really looks like you taking the time to not only know who you are and what are your strengths and how do you flow, but also like taking the time to get to know somebody else and their purpose and their strengths and how they flow, and being able to look at those two things and think, how can those two things come together in a powerful way that can create more impact? Because we can do something on our own, we can create something awesome on our own, but we can't create something extraordinary on our own. And if we're looking to create an extraordinary life, we have to not only know who this person is, but who this person is going to become, and also use that to connect that with who I am and who I'm going to become, and find a way to kind of play that together. And so I think this thing around flow is not so much just like knowing our flow and realizing, and yes, they can definitely like clash. And I think there have been times when I've like, man, I want more people around who think like I do, so that I can really take the time to dig into this creativity and explore ideas and concepts and all these different things. And that would feel really good. And we would probably like, I could probably spend all day doing that. And I would love it. But also realize that I need someone like you who is able to take that concept, take that vision, see it, and make it happen and like flesh it out and implement. So I think this thing about flow is that it's not just enough to know yourself, like to know how you flow, but it takes, when it comes to business, like especially as a business owner, you have to know other people's flow. You got to take the time to get to know other people and how they think and how they move and they operate and their purpose and their passions, and really see how that can come together and really and allow that to come together in a way that is conducive and productive for your vision and your dream. Yeah.
Which goes back to Brace as well.
Well, right, which goes back to Brace. And I think it's something that taps into purpose as well, because I think a lot of times we can be afraid to allow someone to pursue their purpose and their vision within our business. And we think, oh, you're just going to leave, or you're going to take some of my ideas, you're going to do all this stuff. But like, to be confident in the fact that like you going and pursuing your success is not going to hurt me. In fact, that it can benefit both of us if I'm intentional about how that can play together. But if I'm not, if I'm so focused on my vision, my goal, and my dreams and my flow, what ends up happening is you get in that same mindset as well, and it causes us to kind of separate and go our own way. And so, I think flow is this thing that really allows us to come together. And BSPF, Brace, Spark, Purpose, Flow, that when we look at this, if we're able to surround ourselves with the right people, we're able to identify the beliefs that may be holding us back and stopping us from innovating and creating change or shifting, or that our purpose, we lose sight of purpose because we're so in love with the product that we created, or even that we're so in love with our own flow that we don't see how other people flow, and we're not intentional about creating a space where we can allow our flows to work together, that we can really like sabotage ourselves. And so I think these four principles that tie into the 4 lessons that we learn are very useful. And I think that if you, our listeners, if you're hearing this and you can hear some of these life lessons, that these can be something that you can use as you move forward. And so I guess I'll just leave a tip as far as Brace. When bracing yourself, surround yourself with people who are not where you are, but are where you want to be.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're afraid that what they'll think of you. Like I promise you, nobody is as concerned about you as you are concerned about you. And so the way that you can the way that you can really begin this step of taking it forward is really start looking for people who are where you want to be. Even if it's not the business that you want or the industry that you want to be in, but the way they've set up their business, the way they set up their life is where you want it to be. Start to surround yourself with a few of those people. I think that's really important.
Right. And also with the spark aspect of the lesson of not tying yourself to one definition of what it means to be successful, but allowing yourself in the process of trying and failing and reflecting and thinking about what does it really mean for me to be successful, that being willing to not be so attached to this is what success means for me or this is how I know I'm successful, but also being willing to be flexible in what you consider as success and being willing to reflect on like, okay, maybe I thought success was tied to how much money I was bringing in, but I was exhausted as heck and I feel like I wasn't able to produce my best. Maybe I need to redefine my definition of what success means in my business.
Yeah. And there, as far as purpose, really, I think the challenge would be to really identify what is your purpose. Really identify what is it that you want. If you got to write it on a board, write it on your wall, put it on your mirror, do whatever. Identify what is purpose. Like, what is the ultimate goal? Not just, oh, I want to make money, but money beyond money. What is money for? Money is just a tool. Money is like oxygen. Like, our purpose in life isn't to breathe. Breathing helps us reach our purpose in life. In the same way, the purpose of business isn't to make money. Money helps you get to your purpose. So identify really what is that purpose. Right. And when you identify what that purpose is, then from there you can almost make little legs that kind of jump off of that. What are all the different ways that you can achieve that goal? What are all the different ways that you can achieve that purpose? And don't fall in love with those. Like, those are just methods. Those are tools, things that you can experiment and you can try with. And this is me talking from my flow. But you can experiment and try these different things. And if one is working and it's working really well, that's really great. But if you start to see that there's an opportunity that the world is shifting and it might be leaning somewhere else, don't be afraid to jump into the next thing and start experimenting while still holding on to that. But we got to be willing to continue to be in this place where we're willing to shift so that we can continue to move towards purpose. And so really identify what is purpose for you, and everything, all your methods, all the ways that you achieve that, the product, the service, whatever. Be willing to explore all those different things and see everything just in case if it's time for you to shift. Yeah.
And then also with flow, we talk a lot about being able to be in tune and aware of your flow and your strengths, but challenging yourself to also see somebody else's flow and how that complements and furthers your vision and furthers your purpose. Because we believe that if your dream doesn't need a team, it's too small. And so if your flow is only limited to your dream and like, this is what I offer to my dream, it's going to be limited. And so we need to be aware and intentional about asking, being curious, exploring other people's flow, their strengths, to see how we can partner together to further both of our visions, and seeing how we're not in competition, but that we can be unified in being able to accomplish what the vision is.
Yeah. Well, that's it. This is the fastest podcast we've ever done in our lives. Probably just like our first episode.
Yes, it's our first
episode. But we hope that this has been valuable for you. We hope that you're able to kind of take some of our lessons and apply it to yourself. We know that you might not be in these specific situations, but you can really look at the principles of Brace, Spark, Purpose, Flow, and apply it to your life and see how it works. See if this is useful. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, hey, I hear what you're saying, but maybe you're not considering these other things, or, there might be some ideas that you may be missing, or maybe I don't even agree, like, kind of with what you're saying. And if you don't agree with it, that's totally fine. Hey, send us a message. We want to talk. We want to hear, what are your thoughts and what are your ideas on this? We are not in love with BSPF. I'll say that. Like, we're not in love, though we did a lot of work of research trying to gather information to really develop this. We're not in love with it. We're in love with the purpose. And the purpose is to help you create your extraordinary life. Right. And so if you do love it and you're like, hey, we love this and you want support, please send us a message, shout us out, write us a review. All that, like, comment, subscribe, do it all, because without you, we wouldn't be here. And yeah, we survive and we thrive off of our community, and so we want to support you. So please support us in the ways that you can. Again, this is the Miller Time Podcast.
And we believe.
And remember. You got to say, and remember.
Oh, I keep forgetting.
Dang.
I need to remember. And remember that you
have the power
to create
your
extraordinary
life. Peace.
Bye.